Hey, this is the Braxman here with a Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to be talking about Elhain, one of the 4 starting champions. We're going to be talking about what her skills are, how to gear her, and where she can be used. So, skills. Her A1, Keen Shot, is attack one enemy, places an extra hit if this attack is critical. So we're going to want her crit rate to be at 100%. Damage based on attack, so we're going to want our attack to be between 2,000 or 3,000 to get as much damage as possible out of that. Next, her A2, Lightning Arrow, attacks one enemy, then all enemies, so hits one person, then hits them all, has an extra 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit. So for this hit, you need only 85% crit rate. So one gearing her. Next, places a 30% increase crit rate buff on this champion for 3 turns if a target is killed, which is really nice. The reason why I say that, so you have 85% you need in order to get the 100%. If you kill an enemy, that 100%, you get that 30%, so it makes all your hits are 100% for 3 turns. So it makes it so that your Keen Shot and your Valley of Death, A3, all get 100% crit rate, so it allows us to do more damage. And then, so our A3 is attack all enemies 2 times. Damage is based on attack, so we're going to want her attack to be really high. And so, when gearing her, you're going to want attack high, crit rate to 85%, and allow the lightning arrow to increase it to have that 30% increase, so it makes it to 100%, and then crit damage to get as much damage as possible out of her. So now on to how to gear her. So I chose to go with the lifesteal and critical rate sets, reasoning being, so noticing that our skills are going to be a damage dealer type champ. I personally went with lifesteal because heals by 30% of the damage dealt. So for how much damage she deals, I get 30% of heal onto my champion. Next, I went with the crit rate because I wanted my crit rate to be able to make it to that 85%. There are different sets you can use. I chose those. You can choose offensive to get as much attack on them. You can get speed to help allow it so your champion, Elhain, can get as many hits as possible before the enemy does. And what's another? Crit damage to increase that crit damage so you can get as much more damage as possible. There's plenty more I can go over. I wouldn't necessarily use accuracy because none of her skills land a debuff of any sort. The only thing that she puts on herself is a buff, so accuracy isn't needed. Resistance, not so much, but there's a lot of skills you can, or lots of different sets you could possibly use. It depends on what you're going to try and use her for. So gearing her weapon, helmet, and shield are going to be your flat stat attack, HP, and defense. So while doing that, you're going to want her speed to come up as high as possible and get crit rate, crit damage as much as possible so you can get to the 85%, and crit damage you want as much as possible to get as much damage as possible. So for this one, my attack, or my weapon, so I have the attack 225, speed, I rolled it twice. I got it to roll twice, so I got my speed up to 13, and then crit damage 2 times, which is really nice. So I got that more damage as possible. Next, I have my helmet, which allowed me to get more hit points, which allows me to sustain her longer in any fight. With it, I wanted to put crit rate and speed. Getting that crit rate to 85, letting the A2 take over, get it to 100%, speed to get as many hits as possible in. shield, defensive main stat, speed, crit damage. Get as much damage as possible again. For gloves, so I personally chose crit rate because I couldn't get enough crit rate through substats. So I chose the crit rate gloves. If you can get enough crit rate due to substats, I would recommend a crit damage because the more damage she can deal, the better heal she gets in return if you use a lifesteal, or it just allows her to knock down enemies. Next, her chest plate. I would recommend either an HP percent or a defensive percent due to the fact that I want her to be able to be sustained in any fight and last longer. So I chose a defensive percent so she can last. So with it, I wanted crit damage to get as much damage as possible. Next, for boots, I really wanted to get speed. Speed is really nice. Just be able to hit more often than the enemy does. And just be able to hit them before they hit you. And knock them out. So crit rate, crit damage, just to be able to knock out any waves that you may encounter. Next, her jewelry. So we have her ring, which I wanted HP so that she has more hit points. So, as normal, lasts longer. For her to be a damage dealer, you're looking for a crit damage amulet. Just to be able to place as much damage as possible, just so she can knock down any wave. Next, you have multiple ways you can go with it. I personally only had a resistance banner. You could do HP. I wouldn't recommend any accuracy because she doesn't place any debuffs. So the resistance, it just allows it to make it harder for you, or harder for your enemy to place a debuff onto you. So looking at all of her stats in general, I wanted to get a decently high HP, anything from high 20s to possibly 30 is possible, just to be able to sustain attack. As I told you earlier, you want to be able to get between 2,000 3,000 just to get as much damage. Defense, just to be able to get that sustain. Speed, I chose 178. You can go more. I would recommend between 150 to 200, just so she can easily hit the enemy before you can. And then crit rate, we wanted the 85%. I want a little bit over. That's fine to go over. But with the A2, you can get that 100% for all of your attacks for A1, A2, and A3. And then for crit damage, I want it as much as possible. So you can always go as much as you want. So possibly 200s, 250s, if not more, if you can. And then resistance. If you can put resistance on her, it's really nice so that she doesn't get debuffed, so she doesn't get stunned, dazed, or anything like that, so she can be able to hit. So accuracy, I have 46. Most of it is due to my Great Hall, and a little bit due to artifacts. It isn't needed unless you're gonna use some masteries and put like a stun gear on her or a daze gear on her. Then I would recommend accuracy, but since I do not have those on her, don't need it. So next, masteries. So I chose the offensive and defensive route. Offensive, you want the crit rate, the extra 5% is nice. Crit damage, get as much of that as possible, just to get that damage. Next, so when using her, you have to now decide if you're going to use her as a damage dealer, or she is a damage dealer, so ideally you can't go wrong with flawless execution, just getting that more crit damage done. Potentially you can use her in clan boss or dungeons, and if so, you may want to go with Helm's Master. Getting that 50% ignored targets defense is really nice. Be able to hit them hard, it allows them to hit harder without needing all that crit damage if you can't get as high. Next, defensive. We wanted that resistance. You could go with the defense, but the resist allows it to make it tougher for debuffs, which is really nice. Here, I really like Retribution, as it has a 50% chance of counterattack when this champion loses 25% of their max HP or more from a single enemy skill. So if anybody hits you, you lose more than 25% of your max HP, you can hit them back and use that A1 and be able to kill a target and be able to knock him down. So that's how I geared my Elhain. So now I'm going to show you where she can be used. So I used my Elhain as a campaign farmer originally until I got my Skull Crown. But for this instance, I'm going to show you how my Elhain does in campaign. So we are going to be tacking on Brutal, last part of it, in Stage 3. This stage is nicest for gaining XP and grinding as much silver out. So we're going to replace my Skull Crown with an Elhain. We'll see how she does. What I had her, or when she typically is able to farm this stage with between 30 and 40 seconds. Let's see how she does. First, she chooses a lightning arrow. She has the 85%. She didn't kill anyone, so she still has the 85%. It doesn't apply to any skills. You notice, if I slow it down, since she has life skill gear, she earns 30% of the damage done. So right here, you can see the damage, and with the green aura around her, she heals that much. 30% of the damage done. Even with me pausing to or slowing down the battle, you can easily see that she was able to reach between 30 and 40 seconds in doing that stage. She's an easy, good campaign farmer. She can allow you to get high and grant as much XP and get other champions to 60. Next, I'm going to show you how she does in a dungeon. I'm going to show you specifically in Dragon, because that's the best, I believe, or is typical, the best dungeon to farm gear and to play on your champions. So to farm gear, it's probably best to start on stage 13. Reasoning being, that's the first stage you can start getting 6-star gear. The reason why I say that is because it's tough to get to stage 20. I can do it, but it's really tough. So to start off, beginning, mid-game, you're going to want to be able to hit stage 13, get as much gear. So with the dragon, you have your accuracy, speed, and lifesteal. Those are the best types. They can be used in most every single champion. So we are going to put her in stage 13, show you how she does. I typically don't use her in here, but for this sake, I'm going to show you how Elhain does in Dragon. Let's see how she does. So you have, my team is consisting of Apothecary, Sylvedrakes, Tyrell, Coldheart, and now Elhain. So we want Apothecary to land heals and provides speed boosts to all the rest of my champions. I like Tyrell because he's able to provide a decreased defense, which allows any of my members on the team, specifically Elhain, to provide even more damage. I have Coldheart. She's mostly my most damage dealer. She has that All of a sudden I forgot. But she's able to do an enemy max HP attack and get as much of their HP down for... She's really nice against the bosses. Sylph Drakes, I like her for the decreased speed, and she's able to provide a revive, and Elhain, damage dealer as well. Voila, we were able to complete stage 13 with Elhain. You'll notice that she was able to get 164,000 damage, which is really nice. More so than most of any of the other champions in this combination. She's really nice in dungeons. For the heck of it, I'm going to try and see how she does. Let's see if she can do well in Arcane Keep at, well, 15. We're going to replace her with my Elhain. Put her in. Check her out. See how she does in a Potion Keep. I want my Skull Crown to take down as much damage, providing the weaken and just putting buffs on them so that my Elhain can do the AoEs and just hit them all and take them out. Now at this round 3, I'm gonna put it my target straight onto the boss. See if we can take him out quickly. This typically lasts a minute. With Elhain, it could go a minute 30. That's what I'm gonna guess it is. So on this team, I have Skull Crown, Miscreated Monster, Tayrel, Coldheart, and Elhain. Typically it's Elhain. I like Elhain a little bit better, just for the fact that she can place that HP burn, but she's a legendary, so it's a little harder to maintain, or to get. Elhain is perfectly great for this. She can do it. She can do the damage as good as Elhain. Just, I like that HP burn. So you notice she's able to place the damage, get 30% of the damage dealt, heal back. So after this, I'm going to show you how she does in Arena. I don't typically use her there now. I have. She's really nice. She's able to, with her A2, A3, just do the AoE, knock them all out, and just end the round. Well, it was a little longer than I was thinking it was going to be. A minute 44. I thought it was going to be a minute 30, but I was dang close. Now, I am going to put her in an arena setting and see how she does. I'm not perfect in this. I'm in gold 4. Let's see. Let's try this team out. I know I can do it. So this is my typical arena team. I'm going to trade out Juliana for Elhain. They are both my damage dealers. Or my single... Yeah, they're both my damage dealers. I'm going to try her out, see how she does. I do have more power than the other enemy does. But typically in gold 4 I can't hit them. So, the Skull Crown for their A2, I'm going to see if I can drop that weaken. So they all got it. I don't have a cleanser, so I'm just going to do my lightning arrow. I'm going to put on Chris since I'm neutral with. Since I don't have Juliana, I don't have his A4. So I'm going to place a shield on everyone. Use my Miscreated Monster, put the ally protection. Let them hit. They put the provoke, which was a little bummer. So I'm just gonna put it on auto. I trust my team. Let's see how they do. I'm probably gonna lose this. I'm not very good against Krisk. And well, most of that team actually. I'm going against many Legos or legendaries. So, well, I'm gonna probably lose this one. Well, thank you for checking out my video. If you have any questions, comments, please put it down below. Thank you for watching. I hope I was able to help you build your Elhain to be a good damage dealer and where she can be used potentially. Would really appreciate if you could give this a like and subscribe and put the little bell for notifications on all, and thank you.